Mixed reality games are becoming more and more clever, and Starship Home, a game that launched today on Quest 3, is definitely one of them. It is a vibrant mixed reality game that transforms your room into a command center of a spaceship. The main goal of the game is to travel the galaxy, visiting a variety of planets to collect plants affected by a widespread blight. By nurturing these plants back to health aboard your spaceship, you work towards eradicating the blight and reviving the affected flora, ultimately cleansing the universe of this destructive force. The virtual reality elements of the ship and the windows are positioned directly inside your house, and this similar spaceship-like setting in mixed reality was adopted by Astra, another mixed reality app released earlier this year. But visually, Starship Home adopts a more playful, more cartoonish style. This aesthetic choice sets it apart from lifelike MR games like Astra, but it also has a much more engaging gameplay mechanics. The playful art style aligns with the story-driven yet light-hearted narrative of this game. Essentially, the focus of Starship Home is not to convey realism of traveling the galaxy, but really to deliver a really fun and engaging VR experience centered around the ecosystem management and taking care of your plants Tamagotchi style. Still, there is a solid story-driven foundation in this game, and if you'd like to get a chance to play this game for free, then stick around until the end of this video to learn how to enter my giveaway. Thank you, Val and Creature, for sponsoring this content and offering keys for this giveaway. While your main job in Starship Home is to take care of your plants, which you find on different planets throughout the galaxy, each planet introduces unique environmental features, like different levels of solid acidity, different amounts of sunlight exposure required, and different nutrients needed for each of the plant to survive. These elements require you to strategize in taking care of your plants carefully, because using the wrong type of soil fertilizer, for example, can harm rather than heal your plant, so you need to pay attention to these details. When you start up Starship Home, the game scans your room but doesn't strictly rely on its layout. This means that you can place game elements like windows, control panels, and terrariums directly onto walls or just let them float mid-air. And this is incredibly useful feature, which means that you don't need to be room dependent. Like if your room is too cluttered, for example, or you have too much furniture on the walls, then you can simply place the objects wherever it makes sense to you. I use this feature to record this video actually because as a content creator I needed to appear in the camera view, and if I placed all the objects on my real walls, then you wouldn't be able to see me in the camera. So kudos to the developers for making their room setup so flexible. The MR integration in Starship Home is impressive. It utilizes your real-world environment in dynamic ways. For instance, you can place virtual objects like a watering can on your actual physical surfaces, the way I'm doing it right now, placing my watering can on a real table. So it definitely uses your room scanning feature allowed by Quest 3, but just like I've said, you can just let them float mid-air if you want to. The game also adjusts the look of your real surroundings in mixed reality depending on what you do in the game. For example, your real room's light will change to match the environment of the planet that you're exploring. So if the planet is dark and full of caverns, this shadowy planet, for example, makes my entire room appear dark as well. Or occasionally you will start these mini games when caring for your plants and it looks pretty psychedelic. Your real room changes so much. You may wonder when you will see these strange changes in the mixed reality environments. Well, when you take care of your plants and you do a good job at it, at some point your plant will bloom, and when it's blooming, it's ready to be tuned. Yes, like a musical instrument. When your plant is ready to be tuned, this phase triggers a mini game that transforms your room with dazzling psychedelic colors, and each plant you care for will introduce a different minigame. These games are not complicated and not particularly challenging in any way, but they are meant to add more variety to the gameplay, because the main game does appear to be going in somewhat repetitive loops. And once you've done with this loop a couple of times, you get pretty comfortable with it. First, you choose a planet from the planetary map where you will travel. Then you put the energy plant to fuel your ship, and bon voyage! Once you're in the orbit of the planet, you can scan for suitable landing spot, and from there you will see the beautiful view of the planet. You cannot leave your starship. Essentially the entire game you are in it, and you'll need to scan the surface of the planet from inside of your ship. Here you will gather some environmental data important for knowing how to take care of the plant, which you will find on the surface of each planet. The variety of plants and their specific care requirements make this gameplay fresh and engaging, and increasingly complex with every planet you discover and every plant you collect. But generally, that's the main gameplay path, with some variations, of course. There are some surprises along the way the deeper you get into the game, which I will not be spoiling for you, and let's just say that at some point you will need to face the cause of this devilish blight, and you better be prepared. While I really love this game, Starship Home is not without shortcomings. I love the lighthearted nature of this gameplay, but I think that it could benefit from more challenges and higher stakes to keep you on your toes. Perhaps adding a difficulty levels would give players an option to decide how relaxing they want the game to be, or if they want it to be more nerve-wracking, they'll be able to crank up the difficulty. For me, for example, the lack of failure mechanism where plant could not die if they're not properly taken care of made the game feel a little too easy, or maybe if you can let your plant die, then it's just too difficult to achieve, and taking care of them is not as challenging as maybe it could be. Additionally, some tasks like scanning planets and applying fertilizer are way too time consuming. It kind of tests your patience, especially when these actions don't vary much, they don't require a lot of gameplay, you're basically just holding a button, and in many cases you had to stand there holding that button for a long time to complete fertilizing your plant or scanning the planet. That just didn't make sense to make these actions so long. One other thing that I thought could look better are the alien life forms that appear in your communication device to talk to you and tell you about your next mission. These characters are made in 2D, which breaks the immersion for me because I would prefer them to be 3D renderings of alien forms. But regardless of these shortcomings, which I'm sure can be fixed with some simple game update, Starship Home is a really fun and relaxing game, perfect for players looking for a low-pressure VR game focused on exploration and Tamagotchi-style botanical care. And honestly, it's just one of those super cozy games where you can spend hours taking care of your plants and exploring the universe. And you can play this game for free if you win one of the game keys that I'm giving away. And in order to enter, all you need to do is be subscribed to Disco VR YouTube channel and drop a comment down below telling me what aspect of the game you're most excited about with the hashtag Starship Home. But if you're a fan of something more realistic and story-driven, then I invite you to watch my video review of Astra, a similar mixed reality experience, but with a more storytelling and realism at heart. See you there, space travelers!